So our second one is an error of commission. So this is, again, debits and credits have all happened, but we've used the right numbers, but they've gone to the wrong account. Okay. So what we've got here is the wages and salaries expense account has been incorrectly debited with a rent expense. So the expense should have gone to rent, but it ended up in wages and salaries. So here we've got the double entry. They debited wages and salaries and credited the bank. Is that right? Yes, because a payment would debit the expense and it would credit the bank. So yeah, we're happy with that it is right in principle. What could we do to correct this? So first thing that we're going to do is the same as last time. So we're going to remove transaction, post, correct. Okay, so to remove it from wages, we would credit it. So credit wages. To remove it from the bank, we would debit the bank. Okay, and then we're now going to post the correct transaction, which should have been credit the bank. And I have to put a little T account in here for rent. Debit rent. Okay, all with £100. And if we were to look at that now, wages overall is 0 because there's 100 on both sides. Okay, rent is 100 on the debit side, and the bank overall would have a balance brought down of 100 on the credit side. Okay. The other way that we could have done this is you could have said, well, actually the bank is correct, because if you look here, you've put £100 in the bank and out the bank to correct it. The bank, the original posting, which is here in the black, was correct. £100 has left the bank, so the bank is right. The problem is that we need to take £100 out of wages and put it into rent. So the other thing that we could have just done is to move the incorrect item. Okay, so to do that, we would have credited wages, debited rent. And again, now if you look, this is the same as above. Wages cancels each other out. Rent is ending up with £100 on the debit side. So this would have been debit rent 100, credit wages 100. Okay. Next one then, same sort of thing here, but this is an error of principle, which again means that you've used the right numbers but the wrong type of account. If we go back to the one before, commission, these were both expense accounts. So wages and salaries and rent were both expense accounts. What we're looking at here with the error of principle is the wrong type of account. So for example, if you were to put an asset as an expense, for example, or if you were to put capital as a sale, for example. So here we've got a motor vehicle petrol expense of £40 has been debited to the non-current asset motor vehicles account. So an expense has ended up in an asset account. So this is the wrong type of account. Okay. So again, look at your double entry. Is this right? We've spent £40 on fuel. Should the bank be credited? Yes, it should. But the debit should be going to motor expenses, not motor asset, which that SOFP is telling you it's an asset because it's on the statement of financial position. Okay, so again, same process again. We could either remove transaction post correct. Okay, so just let me see if I can find a red pen because you can't really see the black and the blue that well. I've got lots of black pens. Oh, this'll do. Okay. So if I put a line under the original ones so that you know they are the original. Okay. Okay, so to remove the transaction, we would credit motor assets. £40, debit the bank, 40, 40. And then we would, so we've done the removing, then we would post the correct transaction. So we would credit the bank because we have spent £40 out of the bank. And we would debit motor expense. Okay, again, if you were to look at this now, motor asset, 40 on the debit side, 40 on the credit, so overall is nothing. Motor expenses overall 40 on the debit side, so expense of 40. And the bank overall is £40 on the credit side, meaning you've spent £40, which would be correct. The other way to do this then would be to correct the incorrect part of the posting. Okay, because going back to the beginning here, we said that this bit's correct. We have spent £40 out of the bank, so the £40 credit is correct. However, £40 going to motor assets is incorrect, so we would want to remove the £40. So we are crediting motor asset and putting it in its rightful place of motor expense. So we are debiting motor expense. Okay, again, check 40 and 40 nets off to nothing. Motor expense ending up with 40, bank ending up with 40 on the credit side. So no matter if you've chosen the longer way or the shorter way, you are overall getting to the same effect.